Welcome, everybody, to the 10-minute time limit, brought to you by FDS Podcast Network and on FDS Podcast Network. I'm your host, Andy Jardine, and with me, as always, is the star of the show, Jamie Small. Jamie, what's up, man?
I'm great, man. I love this show tonight. I enjoyed it. Thought it was a good, solid show altogether.
There we go. Well, he's teasing the lead right off the bat. This is going to be our AEW Dynamite review for the June 10th show. We both, I was watching it live last night. Jamie watched a bunch of it last night. He finished it up today. We talked ever so briefly during the broadcast, only about maybe the first half. So we're going to be able to talk about the entire thing. And we're going to go through it segment by segment, match by match, the way we usually do. I got to get a few things off my chest before we get going here. But as usual, and we're really, this gimmick of ours of the 10-minute time limit, I mean, man, we are breaking this gimmick quite often, but that's okay. I've got a way around it now, all right? So we're about to review the June 10th edition of AEW Dynamite. This match is scheduled for one fall with a 10-minute time limit or TV time remaining. All right?
Absolutely.
Here it is. All right. So, Jamie, why are people messaging me right now? Are you hearing that on your end?
No.
Okay, good. All right. Before we get going through the matches, this is starting to bug me a little bit. Now, not to the point where I'm not enjoying AEW Dynamite, but the landscape of AEW it's almost like it's multiple different shows. Like, there's no vision. It doesn't all come together as one package. And what I'm starting to understand now is what's bothering me more than anything is just sort of the title landscape. It doesn't work anymore. So let's think about it. Or it doesn't work for me. They're beefing up the tag team division. They already, according to them, had the greatest tag team in the history of the world with the Young Bucks. They've got some other tag teams, and then of course they bring in arguably the other greatest tag team in wrestling today in FTR. Yet the titles are held by two singles wrestlers, and those two singles wrestlers aren't a great fit together at all. Their gimmicks aren't a great fit. Their styles aren't necessarily a great fit. And both those guys should be working with the top guy in the company, in my opinion. And that top guy in the company should be one of your favorites, Jon Moxley, but it's not. The top guy in the company right now, the Nick Aldis of AEW, is Cody. Cody coming out every week and defending the TNT Championship in the main event, shaking hands and congratulating, the guys that he's beaten, after the match, having great matches, is becoming the Nick Aldis of the AEW. And in turn, the TNT Championship actually means more, in my opinion, right now than the heavyweight title in AEW. In fact, if I was to rate the title hierarchy in AEW right now, it would go TNT Championship, Women's Championship, Tag Team Championship, and then the other championship that Moxley has. And maybe you've gone over this with me before, because the more I watch this, I want to like Moxley, but I can't. And he's not doing anything to help me do that because his promos are just kind of silly. We'll get into the one that happened last night. He doesn't fight. Now, maybe he's injured or something. And
I think he is injured. I think he's not cleared to wrestle right now. Okay. So that might be part of it. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's the issue because I think they would have done the Brian Cage match already. I don't think that's a Fyter Fest match at all. I don't think that's one you build up, especially where Cage has fought just squash matches pretty much.
Yeah. So I'll cut him some slack there, but I mean, if the belt and the title is going to be that meaningless, just put it back on Jericho where he can come out every week, call himself Le Champion, have that belt to support the title, and then I don't even care if he fights because Jericho can pull that off for me, and I'm okay with it. But Jon Moxley right now means very little to me as a champion. I'm not the only thing that I'm excited about the angle, in the program that they're putting together with Cage is that I know that Cage is not going to squash this guy the way he's been squashing everybody else. That said, though, Brian Cage, big, roided out dude, with a manager who does most of the talking for him. This is just Lesnar and Paulie all over again, except you replace it with Brian Cage, who is not as impressive as Brock Lesnar, and Taz, nowhere near as impressive as Paul Heyman.
I
as far
totally
as
get
I'm
that
concerned.
vibe too. Yeah, I
So
agree. I agree.
yeah, so I don't need this right now, and the other side of the equation, which is John Moxley, is not doing anything for me right now either. So, anyways, I'm just a little bit frustrated with this, and I mean, the show is based in kayfabe, and other parts of it are not. I found out last night one of the women's fighters reigns from the Andromeda galaxy, and she's an actual alien. And I mean, clearly the announcers don't truly believe that, but they sell it a little bit, which was kind of funny to me. But I'm just like, this is all over the place. But I haven't lost enjoyment. We're gonna continue to watch this, and there were some good parts of this show. So there's some good and bad. So let's run through it the way we usually do.
Sure.
So for me, right off the bat, the show is a hit for me because Le Champion comes out and joins the broadcasting booth. And so I want your take on how he did. I want your take on whether or not you like when Jericho comes out. And also, I have to ask, like, when he comes out, he pretty much takes over. Like,
Absolutely.
do you think
Yeah.
I don't know that he's annoying JR, because him and JR go way back, and they crack
Yeah.
jokes with each other, and like, I'm gonna bring you a Moscow Mule for that one or whatever. But the other two, you gotta wonder if it annoys them.
I don't think so. I think like he does seem to take over at times, which I'm okay with because he's extremely entertaining and great to listen to.
Yeah.
And I actually made notes on this, and we didn't even talk about it, was that he's been cutting promos and he's been so entertaining on commentary that it's hard to want to not have him on this part of the screen all the time, part of the show all the time. And I don't think Shivani doesn't seem to mind because he did so much with Jericho in the last few shows when Jim Ross and Excalibur weren't there. I don't think it's annoying at all. I think it's been a solid growth for Jericho. It's a new role for Jericho to be in commentary, and I think it's a nice addition to have. I mean, it's eventual that's where he's going to be in AEW when he's done in the ring, and I don't know when that'll be. I mean, he's 50 years old, and you got to think that's coming sometime soon, but not that soon.
Yeah.
He's still one of the best wrestlers in the company, so it's hard to say. It's really. But I don't think so, and I hope the fans. I would think the fan reviews have got to be positive because he's just so funny. He's just so entertaining all the way through of it. You know, when you talk about Statlander per se, and she came out with her Andromeda gimmick, he says, "Well, she can go back to her planet of Grimlock or whatever the hell it is she's from." Like, yeah. I thought that was great. I thought those lines, those little quips,
for sure. She's wired differently, and Ross was saying something about how she's like, cut a little different, and Jericho comes in. Well, she's an alien. Jim.
Yeah,
she's an alien. So, I mean, obviously, yeah, I love it too. There's a lot of life left in Jericho, for sure. Even if he stops working as frequently, which doesn't seem all that frequent at the moment, I mean, he's still going to be able to come in and put on a super high profile match if they have somebody, worthy of facing him. So, all right. The next, potentially the second most exciting thing that happened the entire night, right off the bat, they get FTR's in-ring debut. And I mean, it had a lot of expectations to live up to. Like, were they going to be able to dial back an AEW match and turn it into something that we expect them to put on, which is telling a good story, which is telling a believable story, I guess, in the ring, where the gravity is still gravity in the third act. Yeah. And for the most part, they did it. I mean, they had to compromise a little bit. To me, there were still a few too many finishers or finish-worthy things that happened in the ring. But it was actually great. Like, but they definitely played the role of the face. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They wrestled as the faces in this match. And I think, like I said last week, they're going to have to because they're going to be over with the crowd. When we get back to live crowds are going to be ecstatic to see these guys and excited to see these guys. And tonight, I liked it because it wasn't a squash match, which I expected it to be with the Blade and the Butcher. They actually made the Butcher and the Blade look better with the loss than anything else. And you didn't expect FTR to lose. There was no question who was going to win this match. But it was actually a seesaw affair, and it was a good smash mouth match.
Yeah,
from start to finish. I thought they were very good, very, very excellent. I mean, it was an 8 out of 10 for me. Easily an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, and there's some small like intricate little details that they're trying to sell. Like for instance, these guys are not sitting in the locker room hanging out with the rest of the AEW folks. They did the whole gimmick where they drove up in a truck, and JR said they were just driving in from South Carolina. They're like, boy, that's a hell of a drive. They're kind of making fun of
In the
fun of,
wrestling gear.
yeah, absolutely. Jim Ross, right off the bat in this match, was just talking about how refreshing it was to see FTR knows the rules, like they're holding on to the rope,
Yeah,
and little things like that, and even Jericho was kind of getting into it with him. I love like one of my favorite, not to bring up, I don't know why I'm suddenly bringing this up, but one of my favorite moments of Aldis versus Marty Scurll last year was when Marty pretended like Camille tripped him when he was thrown against the ropes and pointed at her and got her kicked out. I love weird little head games like that. And that's exactly what Wheeler did when he played hurt. When he did that big drop kick and he went down, and I was actually thinking, like, did he hurt himself?
Yeah, I really believed it. He sold it, and I had me convinced that, man, that sucks if he just blew his knee out right on live TV and they're done for a while. But no, I was convinced. Yeah. Was it his shoulder or his knee? Either one, whatever it was, I can't remember now. But he sold it like, man, I was like, did he just blow it? What happened? Oh, no, this sucks.
Yeah, and I mean, so I just got a couple of notes here, like some highlights for me when JR said, because obviously the whole tag team thing, multiple guys were in the ring, a lot, but it was never as blatant as before. Where the ref didn't even try to get them out when they could see the two people there. So there was some interference happening, but the ref was distracted, like it was real tag team wrestling. And when Jim Ross said, and this, I don't know if this is a direct quote, but this is more or less what he said. He said the ref can't see or can't call what he can't see, and this ref traditionally doesn't see very much.
That was funny.
Yeah,
I like that Jericho too. Jericho threw something in that was important to pick up, is that they have a 10 count on the tag instead of a 5 count. So it makes it a little more believable that you can get a double team move in the length of time that it takes them to do it. So I was like, yeah, all right, I'll take that.
I'm glad he said that. I mean, seriously, they've stretched out 10 seconds quite a bit, but I'm glad he said that. The superplex followed by an immediate elbow drop off the top was high impact enough that I was very disappointed that they kicked out of that. I was like, oh, here we go. Thankfully, that was the only finisher-worthy maneuver that got kicked out. And then they kept looking to the crowd, and they saw Arn and Tully very, very interested in FTR, taking notes. And then they use Arn and Tully's finisher to wrap up the match. I loved that. So definitely an 8 out of 10 match. I agree with you. I have no complaints about that match, other than the one finisher, but that's fine.
Right. What I liked about that match most was that they used their former finisher, which was called the Shatter Machine, which is now called the Goodnight Express, which I think is an awesome tribute to Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express.
Right.
As they've been trying to get Cornette to become their manager.
But Cornette's going to be pissed that they kicked out of the Goodnight Express. Like, that's the problem.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And they hit that, and that's a setup move to their finisher, the Mind Breaker, which I really liked, was the Spike Pile Driver. I thought, man, this is all just good stuff. It was good tag team wrestling from start to finish. It was great.
Yeah. So the match is over and the Young Bucks come out and they cut a promo in the ring, and it's okay. Brian Last, the great Brian Last, who hosts Cornette's podcast, tweeted at the time that the Young Bucks are horrible on the mics. I mean, we've seen horrible on the mics. Come on. They're not horrible. But it wasn't.
The Young Bucks a lot more grief than they deserve. I mean, Young Bucks have been in some crazy matches, no argument, but they've been in some pretty great matches too. And they're also on the mic. They aren't horrible. They're consistent.
They're okay. Butcher comes out and jumps the Bucks, and FTR actually, I wouldn't say defends them, but they jump Butcher instead of helping. And then all of a sudden, Hangman and Omega come out. Clearly, they're setting up a 6-man tag here.
And they had Sabian and
Jimmy
Havoc come out too.
They came out too.
So I didn't know if they were setting up an 8-man show or a 4-way match with all 4 teams. I'm not sure how that'll go. But it's funny that Hangman Page, why they injected themselves, only because they're part of the elite, which is that group of five,
Yeah.
the executive producers, vice presidents, or vice presidents of AEW, coincidentally,
Yeah.
seem to be all the faces of the show. Like you just talked about, where Cody's title means more than anything else. Um, the next most interesting thing, or they try to push, is this Young Bucks angle, where the Young Bucks and FTR, which is great. It's going to be a slow burn to that match, and I'm excited to see it. It's going to be great whenever it happens. The thing I liked about this was that you still don't know if FTR are heels or faces. You don't know where they stand in the terms of, are they good guys or bad guys, or what are they? They're just guys. They're
Yeah.
just top guys.
Well, I mean, and there's a lot going on here. Like, based on their appearance on the Cornette podcast last week, there's real heat. Like, the Young Bucks are playing it off like maybe it's a bit of a work, but there's real heat. So we'll see how that manifests itself. And the other eye-opening thing, you don't buy the real heat.
I don't really eat at all. I think it's just well done. These guys are good, man, and they're good for a reason, and they're highly touted for a reason. And I don't. There might be a little.
I believe there's some real animosity, but I think FTR are pros, and they're not going, especially if they're getting paid by this company. They're not going to step over the line. But that's what I'm getting to in terms of the paid. So as of the podcast appearance last week, they didn't even have a contract. So these were handshake deals. So again, we think they don't have a. So anyways, maybe I'm buying into this a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah. And it's not. It's easy to buy into. It's easy to believe that they have a handshake deal from show to show, just because of the way they show up to the show, not coming through the tunnel, not part of the locker room. They just show up in their truck and off they go.
Yeah, it's a good point too. And going on the Jim Cornette podcast to sell that a little bit is genius on their part. I just don't feel like Cornette would be willing to let them do it if he didn't believe them. I don't think he hates the AEW, and he would refuse to allow Young Bucks and FTR heat in a program to manifest on his podcast. I think that would drive him crazy.
I don't know. He loves FTR so much, and you could tell it was a love fest when they were on there.
That's a good point.
Cornette cuts so many promos during his show anyway that it's hard to tell exactly what he does really, really hate, which is Kenny Omega. There's no question there.
That's real.
That's real. That's legit. But I'm not sure if he. I find the Young Bucks heat isn't real. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I think he's just trying to keep himself relevant as he can in the present day product.
All right, we'll try to get moving here. Television time is running out. The next promo, there's a bit of nightmare family drama. Dustin Rose has a problem with the girlfriend having a jacket. It didn't have a lot of significance to me at this point. Seems like Cody's a little separated from that group at the moment now that he's the face of the franchise. So, that didn't do much for me. I had no problem with it. It was quick. It was easy. Something's going on in the background there. But, again, so many storylines, and they don't all really matter at the moment.
They don't click, and part of this is that they show a lot of this on AEW Dark, which not everybody watches. It's a YouTube show. It's a YouTube-only show, and they don't even mention it in commentary when one of these storylines from Dark is carrying over to the next show.
Is that what it is? Okay, because I don't watch AEW Dark, and I guess I better start.
I watch it infrequently, but I that's where this is stemming from. And the whole Allie doesn't need to be there. It's unfortunate she's there. Why she couldn't stay part of the Blade and the Butcher gimmick, as she was a focal point with them wearing her leather outfit and looking hot as hell, but she was hot with that team. She made them hot. She made them more credible than they are. And now they're just a tag team. Before they were something that, man, I want to see more of this. I want to see where these three can go and what they're going to do. What's the angle with the bunny? Why is she in control of these two? Which for some reason she's just gone.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of inconsistency in the booking. It's not one person with one vision. It's all over the place. They all have control over their own programs, it seems, and then somebody just agrees to, keep them all happy.
Tony Khan's the guy agreeing to all of this.
Yeah. All right. Penelope Ford comes out with Kip Sabian in tow and teams up with Nyla Rose to fight the alien Chris Statlander and the champion Shida. I'll let you talk more about this match. Here's my notes. Point form. Kind of silly. They kick out of everything. It bothers me that Sheeta instantly recovered from the Nyla knee off the top. Remember when Nyla did the double knee off the top?
Yep.
They sold how bad it hurt and then instantly recovered.
He's okay. Yeah.
And again, I ask this question every week at some point during an AEW, but I'm like, why do we have finishers? Why do moves have names?
Right.
That's all I got. Otherwise, kind of an entertaining match to watch, but
solid TV show match. Nothing wrong with it. I had a problem with the finish. I didn't like that the greenest wrestler in the ring was the one that pinned the champion, your women's champion, to win the match, which generally means that person is going to get a title match. What's the point of having rankings and all this stuff and saying this is sports based if you're just going to do it this way? You're just going to give, and that's the only reason that match really happened, was to try to get Penelope Ford over a little more, which it did. It did its job. But yeah, I agree. They kick out of every move. The fact that I don't know if it was Statlander or Ford that kicked, or not Ford, Sheeta that kicked out of Sheeta's finisher.
Yes,
the Falcon Arrow, Rose or Ford that kicked out of it. And again, I was like, well, what, why? That's the great move. That should have been the end of the match. The champion should have won and looked tall in this, stood tall in this match.
Right, and they kicked out of the finisher. So why have finishers? Which was probably what drove me to ask that question. So,
yeah.
Next up, so we get I'm not going to call it a promo. We get a little vignette of Darby Allin, and then Tony Hawk makes an appearance, which is super cool. And Darby Allin's trying to do a drop-in off of a ladder onto a little box jump kind of thing on his skateboard. And over and over again, he's risking injury. You told me that this was a flashback to when he was practicing for something, and it's not current.
Yeah, he did it in a match. He did a move off a ladder. Ladders are very prevalent in his matches. They come up constantly, actually.
Okay.
And he did this move with a skateboard off. I believe it was off a ladder, maybe the top rope, I can't remember, and landed on Joey Janela. So it's a flashback to that a little bit, and it's to try to keep him relevant in the ring. He definitely is not cleared to wrestle right now.
Right. Well, that's what I took from it, is he says he's not clear to wrestle, and then we cut to this little vignette where he's risking injury over and over again, trying to do a drop-in off a ladder.
Yeah.
So anyways, yay. He seems super cool. He seems like a really cool character, and I haven't gotten to see much of him wrestling, so I want to like him. But
he's an awesome character. He's very exciting in the ring. One of the things, I had a point, but I forget what it was now, about Darby Allin is that I just thought this was kind of silly and stupid. I didn't see the point. Yeah, you want to keep him on TV, but there's other ways. There's other ways, and let's keep getting into that creepy character. Last week, this is what it was. Last week, they had a Twitter post he put up of him jumping off a second-story roof into a pool. So how injured is this guy?
I think that's the point. Is the angle he's pushing for is he's trying to tell people that AEW is saying he's injured. AEW's doctors are saying that he's not fit to wrestle, but he feels he is. So he's trying to tell us that they're keeping him off TV. Do you think?
Right.
Is that it?
That's all I took from it.
Well, that's got to be it. And if that's the angle, then these are starting to make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like the fact that he was able to, botch the drop in like 6-8 times, stand right up from the fall. Like I would break my ankle.
And totally screamed himself. He took some big hits.
Yeah, I'd break my ankle on the first attempt. That'd be the end of it. You could take the skateboard out of the equation. I'd break my ankle. So So if that's what they're trying to do, fine. It's effective. Okay, and speaking of stupid and keeping somebody on TV, then we transition to another Dr. Britt Baker thing. I have nothing to say about it.
I just think it's going to lead to a match with Big Swole. They're trying to make that relevant.
Yeah.
And try to keep Britt Baker relevant while she's hurt. Or try to do something with her while she's hurt. That's all it is. I don't appreciate it. I don't enjoy it. But it's a good advancement of her character a little bit to show just how big a heel she is.
Got it.
That's it.
Match number 3. Santana and Ortiz come out with Orange Hager in tow. We'll get into why I call him that here shortly. And the best friends with Orange Cassidy. All right. Now, um, something's going on with my feed over here. Sorry, Jamie. There we go.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe he'd be Tangerine Hager.
I like that. I like that. Blood Orange Hager.
Blood
Because
Orange.
Blood Orange is going to be a thing here.
Yeah.
I loved the quote that it looks like because I actually messaged to you before this was even said, before Jericho said this. I said, man, look at Jake Hager, look at Orange Cassidy, put Jake Hager in a pair of jeans and some sneakers, slick his hair back a little bit more. Oh my gosh, they would be the greatest tag team, or just group. They can remain singles wrestlers, but like, can you just imagine them coming out together? Hager it'd be perfect. And and Orange would turn around and put Hager's hands in his pockets for him. And then they'd cut a Who Cares promo and everything.
You'd have Orange teaching him how to be Orange Cassidy, basically.
Exactly.
I think it would be hilarious. Yeah, I think it'd be a funny gimmick.
Yeah, and then after I send that to you, then Jericho comes out. It's like, it looks like Jake Hager's beating up his 15-year-old self, and I felt validated. I'm like, exactly. It does look like that.
Yeah.
A couple more notes on this one. The Orange Cassidy double Hurricane Rana.
That was nice.
It not only was it nice on his part, but they sold it great. Like, they took that move great. I like that Orange and Jericho and everybody was talking about the broadcasters, but Orange Cassidy, the stuff he does is stupid. So the gimmick is so ridiculous, but when he does turn it on, he's incredibly impressive.
Yeah, he's very
to the point where I think he's like teasing us. This is a long build up into, we're eventually going to see an Orange Cassidy match where he wrestles the whole time. I don't know when that's going to be.
I think that's going to be against Jericho, and I can't wait. It's going to be fantastic. That is going to be a very entertaining match. I've got high hopes for that match. But the part that I was so enjoyed was when he got tagged in with that lazy tag, his arms sticking out.
Yeah,
he got tagged in, and then he went off on a tear against Santana Ortiz, who you said sold, and they sold everything great. They were awesome on this night. Yeah. This was a great match too. I'd probably give this one an 8 out of 10 or close to it, maybe a 7.75. But what made this match was the ending and the closing of the match. Cassidy getting the pin with a real wrestling move.
And a really nice, sneaky pin. This is the type of pin that you would see an NWA match finish with.
You would see Marty Scurll, per se.
Exactly.
Yeah. That finish a match like this. Yeah, it was really good. And then
Jericho storms the ring with the bat. And Floyd. Sorry about that. With Floyd.
Yeah. Let's not forget, Floyd's going to be over more than anybody in WWE. Mark my words, there'll be T-shirts with him on it.
We are going to have a mid-card match, Floyd versus Vanguard 2.
Neo.
There'll be nobody else there. Yeah, whatever it's called. Anyways, there'll be nobody else there. Just the Bat and Vanguard. And Vanguard's gonna perform an amazing slam where it picks up the bat and drops it from about 30 feet, gets the pin. We're gonna see this. Would be the most trivial cinematic match to pull off ever. We're gonna see this. Jamie and I need to start booking AEW. I'm telling you, man. We got Tangerine Cassidy, and we got this epic match.
Great match with Floyd and Vanguard.
Yeah. So Jericho storms the ring. They beat the hell out of Orange Cassidy. He's bleeding from the ears, so he gets a little color somehow. And then Jericho brings out a giant bag of oranges and fills it with more oranges for whatever. I didn't really understand why it couldn't just be a full bag of oranges to start.
Yeah.
But he had to bring out the extra bag of oranges to show, I guess, that they were branded as blood oranges.
To show how much weight there was, maybe?
Yeah.
Like, this is a 5-point bag of oranges compared to this?
Yeah, and then he's just whooping Orange Cassidy like he's swinging a
bat.
He pretty much, yeah, except it's like a big pillowcase full of oranges, which would hurt with that many oranges, clearly.
Absolutely.
So they beat the hell out of Orange Cassidy and everybody else who comes in, and that's how that one ended. And
And Jericho had a great line at the end of this, a fantastic line to close it out. And I'm paraphrasing here. I don't think I have it perfectly right, but this is just us showing that Orange Cassidy has just been juiced.
That's what he
I
said.
thought that was funny.
He said blood Orange Cassidy has been juiced. And I think
Yeah,
that's why they had the extra bag of oranges to show that they were blood oranges. Plus Shivani kept saying it out loud. I'm like, why is
yeah,
Shivani specifying that so much? Well, there's a
right.
reason, right?
They could have waited till if we saw blood early, it would have been better.
Yeah.
But
Anyways,
if you said it after, it would have been a better line. Still good though.
I'm
I'll take it.
I'm satisfied with how that whole thing played out. And like Le Champion versus Freshly Squeezed is I think could be a wonderful match. And like you said, I hope that's where something ticks in Orange Cassidy's mind. Jericho upsets him so much that it's just a full-on wrestling match from the
Yeah.
start, right?
I just want to see the kicks of doom and the hands in the pockets. I love the kicks
Yeah.
of doom.
Yeah. The next pointless promo I'm okay with because it was the one reason why we got MJF on television. So they were interviewing the Gun Club and Billy Gunn and his kids and everything like that, and MJF comes and interrupts it and talks again, and he's making a great point. Why has he gotten no title shots whatsoever? MJF should be working with Cody, and that's a match. That's a match for the
They've already
TNT.
done that. They're building that up. They've been
Yeah.
building that up since the beginning of AEW.
Yeah, let's
because
keep doing it. Like let's get
Yeah.
there. Let's get there so
Yeah.
that we finally have a TNT championship where Cody isn't hugging his opponent at the end. Like it's, but
And we're gonna get that at Fighter Fest, thankfully. We'll talk about that later, though.
yeah. So anyways, so they put him on, great, made sense, whatever that means these days. And that's it. Match number 4, Sammy Guevara and Colt Cabana. Now, Colt Cabana bores the hell out of me. He's an extremely skilled wrestler. He's got a great personality. I don't like his look. Like, his in-ring attire is just goofy for the man of his size. But he's a good wrestler. They immediately started teasing how, what are they called? The Dark Order? Or what?
Yeah, the Dark Order.
The Dark Order's been trying to recruit Colt Cabana. He has a match with Sammy Guevara. It's also a very good match, in my opinion. Sammy Guevara is an amazing wrestler for this style of wrestling. I mean,
For a young talent, he is very good. For AEW, he's a great signee and a great pickup.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be he's the future of AEW along with MJF and Darby Allin. I think they're going to go a long way with those guys.
Yeah.
And Orange Cassidy. Can't forget Orange Cassidy. To me, he's already a superstar.
Yeah, and he's got a big match, I think, next week with his tag team partner Jericho, where they go as Le Sex Gods, which is really funny.
And they'll be matching up. Yeah, they're going against the best friends for the chance to go for the tag titles at Fighter Fest, which should be great.
And I would be totally fine with Jericho and Guevara having those titles, despite the fact that, again, that's not a real tag team. If you have Jericho in the title mix, it makes it mean something immediately.
They are a tag team to me because they have a name. They've been together for a while. They've been part of the inner circle.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I think that's where they make a team, and that's kind of an argument you make for Hangman Page and Omega 2 being part of the Elite. But
it's not working for me, though.
It's not the same. It's not working. No, it's not over. And I would rather see Page and Omega feuding with each other. I think that would be awesome to watch, and I think that's where they're going with it.
Yeah.
They've hinted at it a few times, but haven't really pulled the trigger. And maybe they're waiting for audiences to have that match, because it's going to be a great match. It's going to be a 5 or 6 out of 6 stars match or 5 stars for Dave Meltzer, I think, when he does his review.
Yeah.
Because he loves the Elite. But this was just a solid TV match. Getting back to the Guevara Cabana match. With the finish, I love the finish. I love seeing the GTS used for the finish.
Well, but I think the finish was actually a little bit more important than that if you think about it. So the entire time, and Shivani, Jim Ross, everybody at the table did a great job selling this. As they kept saying, Colt Cabana has got it all, and he just can't get a win, and he doesn't know why he can't get a win,
Right.
and it's just not working out for him. And no matter what happens, it just he keeps coming up short. And they're selling the fact that maybe him going to the Dark Order is what's going to get him to the other side of this. It's going to push him over the top. And they sold it great. Cabana goes to the top, and he slipped, and you could tell he purposely sold a slip, which got him into it, which got him into that. And then they immediately started selling that, going, Colt Cabana, he slipped up there. Like he had the fight in his hands, he had the win right there, and he slipped. And that's and then Colt Cabana, Brody Lee comes out, helps him up, and then just goes to the back. They go out one side. Cabana's about to go out the other side, stops, makes the decision to follow them. So he goes
And
and
there was an
follows.
important part there where Brody Lee extends the hand and helps him to his feet. I really
Yes.
think that's a metaphor to literally help him stand on his own and be something more than he already is.
And they mentioned that. Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah, it's
I like
brilliant.
Brody. I like Brody Lee and that whole thing. And because I am so bored with Colt Cabana, I want them to
Mhm.
follow through on this. I want him to
Yeah.
join the Dark Order. I want him to get weird.
I
Whether
want to see
it's
him evil. I want to see him nasty and evil, and I've never seen that from Colt
yeah,
Cabana. He's always been a face, and it would be great. It's going to be a great turn if they do it, if they pull the trigger, and I hope they do because it would make Colt Cabana that much more interesting. We could use some more heels on this show,
yeah,
legit heels. You
100%.
know,
And then so Sammy Hagar hops on the mic, or Sammy Hagar. My gosh. Yeah, we're gonna listen to some Van Halen here pretty soon. Sammy jumps on the mic, and Matt Hardy, regular Matt Hardy or
yeah,
whatever, comes out, interrupts him, keeps telling him that he's trying to that he respects him. I think he's trying to recruit him. He's trying to get him away from Chris Jericho. Hardy's advances are halted, and Hardy does not require the pool of reincarnation at all. He just kind of goes down, flips out, turns into another version of Hardy.
yeah.
After 2 or 3 changes, I'm not sure what it was, he becomes
And there was a
broken.
good part. There was a good part where Guevara. What was happening was Guevara would use the word like "fact." That's a fact that you tried to kill me twice. A fact. And facts seemed to set him off because he used to use Matt Fax in his version 2 gimmick,
Yeah,
and that was what set him off to turn into Matt Hardy version 2.
right.
And then he said, "I don't know if you're broken or what," said Guevara.
Yeah.
And then that set Matt off again. I thought that was really another brilliant storyline plot that they're using, and I hope they continue that throughout this whole Matt Hardy phase of being 6 or 7 guys at the
Right.
same time.
And then he goes to Broken Mac. The moment he says this must be documented, and then he jumps in the ring, and then he proceeds to deleting, or at least saying that Sammy needs to be deleted. So
Yeah,
that's set up, and that too will be a great match. Matt Hardy, if it's all in the ring, and even if it's not, I'm opening my mind to this. So if it takes place somewhere where there's a pool, but now we're seeing
yeah.
they've already set it up. We don't need a pool for him to
No,
change. He just needs
no.
words.
Right.
So
Maybe he throws Sammy Guevara into a pool,
yeah,
and Sammy becomes reincarnated as a face. Because I want to see Sammy Guevara as a face. I believe him as a face. He's a believable face.
oh
He also
easily.
has a face you want to punch, but he has a face that you can believe he's a good guy. I think that him, Hardy, and the Private Party, they're building to something there. They're building to a 4-man faction there that I really want to see. It's another one that I am big on. I think would be interesting.
Okay. Um, then we get a Joey Janela promo, and all I put for my note was that was weird. Like I didn't
Yeah.
get it. I
I
don't.
don't know what they're doing with him and Sonny Kiss, but it's weird.
Yeah.
I'm not big on either character. Joey Janela is just a really hardcore wrestler. He can be a good wrestler, but this is a strange angle, and I want to see where
Well,
they're
I
going
didn't
with
know
it.
who the other character was, so I guess I haven't seen
Oh,
the.
Sonny Kiss.
Yeah.
Sonny Kiss is probably one that you would only see on Dark.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
so yeah,
I wasn't
yeah,
sure
that's
what was
something
going on
we
there,
haven't
anyways.
seen. Yeah,
And then Colt, they try to interview Colt Cabana in the back. Colt makes the decision to walk into Brody Lee's office. I was very happy to see that. I hope his
yeah.
whole look changes. I hope he totally joins the Dark Order.
Man, I hope he comes out in a Darth Vader mask or something crazy, like something ridiculous, over the top. A throwback to the Shockmaster, if you remember that uh, botch of a
Let's hope it
gimmick.
goes off better than that.
Yeah, yeah. But something silly like that, I would be all for if he came out with different attire, dark
Yeah.
attire, and really selling this Dark Order thing. I think,
Well,
yeah,
Ole Anderson was the voice of Shockmaster. They have Arn in there. Maybe Arn could do the
the
voice.
voice.
Oh my
Yeah, that would be
gosh.
funny. That would be funny. Yeah,
Anyway, next up we got a Moxley interview with Alex Marvez. All I put on it was boring. And
yeah,
then Moxley gets beat up by Cage. This is an interesting twist. Taz calls him off, saying you made your point. Cage does not stop and puts him through the back window of a car, and apparently like his career's in jeopardy. I mean,
Right.
uh,
I think his back is supposed to be hurt or is legitimately hurt. So
yeah,
this might do it a little bit more. I
yeah.
don't know. I'm not a big fan of this angle right now. It's making my like of John Moxley change quite a bit because I like John Moxley when he was wrestling in New Japan and you believed him as a hardcore ass kicker that was going to be in a smash mouth match right face to face with the guy, being just exactly that, getting in a fight.
They're just not
And right
using him right. And if
now,
it's
it's
because he's
trash.
injured, that's fine. But we need more exposure to him. Like he needs to be carrying. If he's the heavyweight champion, he should be carrying the company. When Le Champion had the belt, he was carrying the company.
Yeah.
Cody's carrying the company now,
Right. Yeah.
right? And that's so. And if that's a design to make the TNT championship mean more because they're on TNT, that's that's the TV deal and the sponsor. Fine, it's working
Yeah.
for me because
Yeah.
that title and John Moxley and beating him means very little to me, and the Cage thing is just been done. Big
Yeah.
monster. Talk.
Cage, I can't see Cage winning this match. I can't. I don't believe Cage is a champion right now in AEW. He just hasn't been built enough. So this match really doesn't excite me at all.
Yeah. And then the final match, and I really liked this match. Again, Cody comes out and toes the line for the entire
Yeah.
company. He's completely separate from his Nightmare faction. He comes out with Arn. He's defending this title. And Mark Quinn of Private Party is a very good wrestler. I enjoyed it. Cody carried him through the match, or helped carry him through the match. I mean, obviously, Mark Quinn's big spots were a big part of the match. Mark Quinn did a
He made Mark Quinn
wonderful.
look like a superstar. He made Mark Quinn be something viable that you would believe. Man, he could win a singles match. He
And
could
Mark
be a
and Mark
champion.
Quinn sold the bad foot as
Yeah.
well as you could imagine if you're still telling the guy he has to pull off his high spots
Yep.
because he sold it wonderfully. Every once in a while, obviously, he had to let it go for a quick second for a few steps to
Yep.
dive over the rope. And
Right.
his whole thing is it comes in three, so he had to dive over three times or whatever.
Yep.
But he did a great job selling, the fact that Cody was attacking that. And again, in the end, they told a great. This was almost like an FTR. Not that Cody isn't already at that level, but this was
Yeah.
an FTR level story that they're trying to bring to matches. In that, listen, this kid's good, and Cody found his weakness in that he got him to hurt his foot, and then kept attacking his foot, and then in the end got him to submit because of the foot.
Right.
The broadcaster
He
sold it well,
sold the
just
foot
like you
in
said
the
it. Mark
aftermatch.
Quinn was very impressive.
Yeah, he was very impressive. Mark Quinn even sold that foot injury in the match, in the aftermatch scuffle with the inner circle.
That's when I have some notes here. He did in the beginning, and then he kind of let it go when he
Yeah.
probably thought he wasn't really on camera. See, I think a lot of these guys might be letting their guard down a little bit, knowing that the only people in attendance are their colleagues, right?
Right.
So when they don't think they're on TV, they're less worried. Like, when they're all standing outside the ring, waiting for somebody to dive over the ropes, they know the camera's not on them. So they don't mind just kind of standing there going, let's catch this guy, because the crowd isn't there. And I feel like the AEW wrestlers are letting their guard down a little bit. So he definitely did.
Especially the young guys. I mean, Mark Quinn, especially in that situation. I think you're right. I think that had a lot to do with it. I think, too, that just he hasn't had a lot of TV experience.
Right.
And I think that makes a big difference, too, that you got to remember there's millions of people watching, or hundreds of thousands of people watching a show. And you have to keep that in mind when you're on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cody wins the match, makes him submit with a nice little maneuver.
The ankle lock. Yeah.
I hate submission holds in professional wrestling. However, when the entire match is built around somebody's foot deteriorating, and then you use the foot to make them submit, it doesn't make Mark Quinn seem like a wuss that he tapped out.
No,
right?
no. It looked like a viable lock that you could use and actually hurt someone with.
Right, but even a viable lock in professional wrestling, if you just tap out, you're and it's not the person's finisher. It's not it's not Ric Flair doing the figure four. It's not Greg Valentine swinging around the pad and doing the figure four. Then you kind of look like a wuss. But when you build the match like that to the point where his foot was near broken and then he submits, he doesn't look like a wuss. So they did. So they did a great job.
Told a good story.
Right. They told an amazing story, a very good match. So this match, in my opinion, along with the first, actually there were a lot of good matches in this, but this one, in my opinion, was probably my favorite of the broadcast. And again, I'm telling you, Cody, they might as well just switch belts and just give Cody the championship and just make him defend it every week.
They do have a rule, and I don't think you know this or not. In the first, I think it was the first AEW legit pay-per-view after All In. Cody and Jericho had a match where Cody can't ever win the title belt.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. He can never be the world champion in AEW.
So instead, he's going to make the TNT championship worth more.
Right.
Well done, Cody. You did it.
It's another story, and you're selling it, and you're making it believable. Yeah.
So, I wish I could give them enough credit to say that that's why they did this, but I think it's just something that happened, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah. Coincidental because of injury and all of that stuff. And you've got what looks like a weak champion right now at the top.
Yeah. Tangerine Hager comes out with all his buddies because Cody is congratulating Mark Quinn, and they're embracing after the match, after another great match, which is basically what Cody's doing after every defense at this point. And then Hager and the Inner Circle.
Hager comes out by himself after Mark Quinn leaves.
Right.
And then jumps Cody, which you've got to believe I want part of this open challenge, which, yes, that's what's going to happen at Fyter Fest.
And Cody gave him in the end, he's like, I know what you're asking for. You got it. Yeah. So we're going to see potential. Like, I think Cody can carry Hager through a good match and use it. I could see, like, listen, I'm not making this comparison. Obviously, it's doing maybe both of them too much justice, but I could see Cody and Hager put on a Shawn Michaels and Diesel type match.
Yeah.
Where Cody can carry, can carry him through it, and let him use his brute strength and tell a good story. So we'll see, and that's how it ended, man. So I was entertained by the show. Here we are, our 10-minute time limit or television time remaining. Good thing we had 45 minutes of TV time left. Apparently a match got canceled. So
yeah.
But anyway, that's our AEW review for the June 10th show. All in all, 6. What did I give it earlier? 6.5 out of 10.
I said 7.25. Yeah, we were close.
I think and I think after we talked about it together, I think that I liked the things that I liked them more than I thought. So I'll agree with you. 7.25 out of 10 from the 10-minute time limit podcast. Thanks for watching all. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit subscribe. If you're listening to this in audio form, do that too and leave us a comment or whatever. This has been the 10-minute time limit, a 47-minute edition of it.
Thank you.